Hello and welcome to the Lore TV Spill the Tea Episode 1, where we talk about Asian American Christian hot topics. So today we are talking about dating. So let's get right into it.
Before I met my wife, who's a devoted Christian, I had dates with non-Christian women, and I feel like there was a big difference between dating a non-Christian compared to a Christian person. There's a lot of like worldly issues that you kind of run through, and not that with my wife we didn't go through some, but it's definitely very, very different.
Okay. Did you experience like internal turmoil? I think when I dated like non-Christian people before getting married, because I dated mostly non-Christians, and Kenny's pretty much the first Christian man that I've dated and now married to. And I remember never feeling like comfortable in the relationship. Yeah. But then with Kenny, there was just a lot of like security. Yeah. And I always knew in the back of my mind it wouldn't work out, even though I was like with them. And I think bringing that back to identity is like, I felt like I needed to be with a Christian. I didn't know if that really had to. I think with Kenny there was this piece, even though we were gonna do long distance while he was in Boston and I was here. I felt like I wanted to try more than with these other guys, where I kind of knew in the back of my mind, like, it wouldn't work because they're not Christian, and I'm not trying to date someone to convert them. So what was I doing, right? So the question I was always asking myself was, what am I doing in this relationship? Am I just having fun? And is that like the purpose of dating? Or it's just too philosophical, I guess.
I think no, I definitely understand, because I feel like when I was talking about earlier, when we were talking about dating a non-Christian woman compared to a Christian woman, the conflict resolution part I think is very, very different, where before it was really about like you and me and like how you need to change and I need to do this and I need that and you need that. But with my wife, we can just resolve conflicts by kind of going back to the cross, and putting God and Jesus first. And that really, really helps because we are not kind of relying on each other, but we're relying just on God's ways more to keep that relationship going. And I mean, we've gotten that from older couples. Like, I mean, I've heard it from older married couples. And one time, even at like a luau, they were asking like, who here has been married for like 30 plus years? And then, hands went up, and then they said 40 years. And then they finally went to like 50 something years. And then one couple had their hands up and everyone just started cheering like crazy. And they asked, oh, what is the key to your relationship? And the couple like
making it last.
Yeah, making it last. And then literally without even like skipping a beat, they said, oh, we keep it Christ-centered. Yeah. And we've heard that before at like other places too. I remember that what was his name? That comedian that we watched. They were doing the same thing, and then they said the same thing. Yeah.
So I think for me, it wasn't so much dating, because there was a lack of dating, right? And that's what really affected my identity, and because it felt like the silence confirmed what I felt, like I wasn't good enough, or I wasn't worthy of love, or something like that, because if I was, then someone would have figured it out and like started dating me, but because nobody was, and like nobody was saying that I was good, or that like they were interested, then it just made me feel like, I probably am not good, and that really like fed into my like being, to where like I would be like, well, maybe I should just just settle for this, and not really like live up to my full potential, not saying that I think I'm better than anyone else, but like
holding on to your worth.
And like I didn't know my worth, because I felt like it was like there's like being.
I think you knew your worth, but you were like, how come nobody's confirming my worth, right?
Yeah, which also built into like bitterness, right? Yeah, to like, well, why can't you see that I'm a good woman? You horrible beings, you know, like you men, right? And then just
you men,
you boys, you know.
Sorry.
I'm not gonna take that personal.
No, but like it really did, and there was a struggle in it because I was like, it's not that like I'm not worthy, or you know, and it's not that these men are like horrible people or who just can't see anything. It's just wrong timing, you know, like just because I'm not interesting to this person doesn't mean I'm not interesting at all, you know. But yeah, just that the lack of dating really affected my identity. It definitely did not. I was not secure in my identity in Christ, but it was like when, you know, the lack of dating made me feel very small.
Yeah.
I think I started dating because I was just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, how do you meet people? And like, life is kind of boring without hanging out with people. So I should have someone to hang out with. And I think that in turn became like dating. And I think that's kind of what got me started dating at the ripe age of 14. Yeah. But yeah, I think if I look back, it's because I wanted to spend time with people, and I would always go back to Owen after I ended it with like each guy, like, oh, there's nobody else out there for me, nobody better, and she's like, you serious? But yeah.
If it's to like your what's the mindset, like the scarcity mindset where like there's no
like all the good guys are taken and I'm left with the
scum of the earth.
No, but you know that's
I'm not gonna take that personally either.
It's not about you. Not about you. A general blanket statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think dating in a worldly sense, you know, you gotta look a certain way or you gotta act a certain way. You know, like you see a lot of people try to be someone they're not, you know, in order to just reach out and find that attraction from other people. But I think, honestly, you know, I ended up, you know, being really lucky that I have a wife that is very attractive, right? But the thing is I remember when like when Julia was talking about like looking outwards and trying to date somebody. I felt like I had to try to fit into a mold, like a mold that where I could be like, oh, okay, I want to get this girl
I
to
don't know.
like me. And it took a while before I realized, oh, okay, no, I don't need to change into that mold. I just need to find somebody that, you know,
compatible.
Compatible. And you know, when you date, you know, you kind of put just worldly, just like kind of superficial things, you know, on a pedestal and things like that. But I'm really happy that I didn't end up marrying somebody that isn't Christian, because I don't want to have to put the relationship or them on a pedestal, because we have a common bond, which is Jesus. And we know what's more important in life.
I'm trying to think of how it goes back to my identity.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're pretty quiet, Gene. What about you? You lay it all out.
No, I just like to hear all the as you guys spill the tea. I just want to hear everything.
Spill the tea.
We're spilling, so
No. Identity. I guess identity in my dating life. I think for me, I'm a little bit different. I'm built different, and so I think I moved a lot earlier on, and so during those times where I moved, I don't think I prioritized like dating. Making friends and hanging out with people was more of a priority, or church, because I was very heavily involved in church, like youth groups and things like that. And then going to college, that's when you meet tons of people, right? And in that season, I think I was still just so heavily involved with like on-campus ministries and like, you know, school, and just my friends, like hanging out with them, playing games, shooting basketballs, shooting pool, playing basketball, all that stuff. I think I started to like was very greedy with my time, I guess. And so I think just the thought of dating, in a sense, I felt like I would have to commit all my time and all my energy into this person. And so maybe selfishly, I didn't want to do that. And so, yeah, in those times I didn't really date a lot. You know, I did date and here and there, but I didn't want to really commit to anything because of that. And so I think as far as identity, when it comes to dating, I don't think it really affected me too much. Yeah. I think it was just more on my end of prioritizing other things in my life that I wanted to do at that time. Yeah. So
like convenience.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, maybe I do had, like, maybe back then I had a lot of commitment issues and stuff like that. And so I just like to be free reign, you know. You know, Chipotle sells free range chicken, right?
Like, do what you want to do.
Yeah,
do
I just
what you want to do.
like that free flow of like being available for anything that comes up, right? And I think in that sense, it did kind of bleed into like the ministry. And so I think anytime, you know, God presented any opportunity for me, because of that freedom, I think I was able to do and answer certain calls or obey certain things that I felt like God was calling me to do or pushing me to go to. And so, yeah, I think that's, yeah. So it's, as an adult, yeah, dating's dating. But like, I just had a question for you though, like, because you were mentioning how about your identity and you felt like because guys weren't asking you out or, you know, giving you the attention that you were kind of seeking, right? That you felt like you weren't worthy or whatever. But like, say your friends, right? Or even guy friends, they say like, but oh, you're such a great person. Like, what do you think when you hear things like that?
Yeah, that actually hurt me more.
Right.
Yeah, like for girls, when they tell me that, I'm like, well, that doesn't matter because you're a girl. You know, you know what I mean? Like, nothing can happen
Like,
between
you're
me
not
and you.
gonna date
You know?
me.
Yeah, you're not gonna date me. You know? Yeah, like, I was like,
Or
oh,
are
that,
you?
was like, that's great, but it doesn't help my situation. You know. And then for the guys, when they say that to me, like, because I was such a low like place. When they said that, it hurt me more because I'm like, I'm so great that you don't want me. I'm so great that you don't want to pursue me either. And then that made me like, more confused.
Like,
you know?
why would you say that if you think I'm so great? Then why don't you just
yeah.
why don't we date?
Yeah, and then just no action on his part then for him to say that to me. Then I'm like, well, then that just confirms still that like even though I'm great, I'm still
Not great enough.
Yeah,
for you.
I'm still not great enough at all, and not enough
to date.
Yeah.
To date.
Yeah, but you know that it's not so much like saying that that's bad on their part, but it's also like because I am broken and I'm at that low
like you're
spot,
interpreting it the way that you would.
Yeah. So it is like it was a me problem, you know, but then with that mixed with that me problem, it made it like worse, you know.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I've gotten that before too, where it's like, oh, you're gonna make some girl really lucky, you know, someday, and it's like, okay,
I'm right.
But it's a little different for guys, right? Because guys are the ones asking, right? And so we kind of, you know, it sounds weird, but like we determine whether or not we're going to put ourselves out there, right? For girls, I think it's a little different. I think now it's changed a little bit, you know, it's a little bit less taboo and it's more, if you like the guy, ask the guy out. But I think back then, you know, it was more, they just have to like flirt, or you guys have to flirt or do certain things like, to kind of show the guy that you're interested. Yeah, and then the guy should have the courage enough, right? And so my question to you then is also, then, you know, like, because it really is your insecurities, I guess, right? Because like certain girls, they experience maybe the same thing you're experiencing, but then their mindset, and I've heard this before, is they're just too scared to ask me out, right? It's different, right? Well, there's one that says no, but like, one that says like, oh, I'm not good enough. Right? Yeah, and then but then the other is like the same thing. They're not getting asked out, but to them, they're like, they must love me, they must like me. They're just too scared to ask me out, right?
I think my thought process was like, if I like somebody and I tell, like, let's say I got, you know, mixed signals, and so I wanted to clear it up, and I said, hey, like, I like you. Do you feel the same? And if you don't, we can just be friends, right? I told one of my girlfriends that, and she was like, oh my gosh, you just tell somebody that you like them? And I was like, I mean, if any human person, like human being is interested in you, you should be flattered. I think. I don't think I'm like all that, but I think I'm a decent human being. I have a job, you know. If I like you and let's say you don't like me, then that's totally fine. We could be friends. But then if you're like, oh, she's so gross, like, I never really thought that they would think that about me. And so I would just be like, hey, you like me? No? That's what I did to Kenny too. I was like, I'm getting really confused here. We're calling each other friends. Do you like me? And if you don't, let's just be friends. And he's like, oh, I thought I was like, you know, being forward.
No, I think that's good because I know I'm pretty sure all of you guys know some guys that are probably too scared. You know, it does exist. You know, like they don't know how to approach it and stuff. And so if it kind of meets in the middle, it actually helps out a little bit, I would say. But you know, I mean, we me and my wife, you know, we talked to one of her friends about you know, just being out there more. You don't have to be so bold and go out there and say things like, oh, you know, like, you know, do you like me? You don't have to do that. That's a good way to do it. But at least show that you have interest because it takes a little bit of, you know, like, you know, some guys don't get it sometimes. So you kind of have to show yourself a little bit to get them to, you know, get to know you, you know. If you don't do that, then you're just pretty much saying, and I've said this before to her, like, you're just hoping that they just find you attractive to come and ask you out rather than getting to know you and then wanting them to know you better. You know, you can't just, as a girl, just sit back and just hope like, oh, I'm just gonna hide. Hopefully you notice me.
It's like that thing they said, don't be just in your room praying for a guy. You're like not going out and meeting. Like God's gonna just send you somebody out of nowhere.
Ding dong, Uber Eats.
Oh, are you Christian?
That's the first thing you ask.
Are you Christian? Yeah.
Nice. I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player, but I'm just going to pray about it and not practice at all. And, you know, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I don't know if that's kind of like what their identity is like, was like back then. I don't know what it's like now, right? But like, do you feel like it would have changed if, like, who you are now would have changed if you did get that?
If I had gotten that attention, I think I would have been a really bad girlfriend. Like if I... with that mindset and that is
a bad girlfriend. I didn't get all that attention, but I was a bad girlfriend.
No, if you think about it, with that broken mentality, you know, and then you bring another broken person or like another person, you know, into that, and honestly, like that person is supposed to give you that stamp of approval of like, you are worthy, right? And then when he starts showing you that you're not, then you start like, you know, you get hurt more, and then you'll start acting out of like anger and stuff like that. And so, like, honestly, God was good, right? He did not allow me to be in a relationship because I was so bitter, but now I'm not, you know. Now I'm like, you know what I mean? Okay, you know, like, you know, like I'm totally okay. You know, I got Kim Namjoon, Kim Seokjin.
Yes, guys.
I don't know who those guys are, but I'm assuming they're BTS.
You know, okay. No, but like honestly, I'm just like, but like I know who I am now, you know, and like I know a lot of girls like struggle with like hitting 30 and being single still, you know, and I'm like, for me, I'm like, why? Now you have the money to go do whatever you wanted to in your 20s, you know, and like you're free to do it, you know, and like I'm not saying that like I'm just having the best. I mean, I'm having the best time of my life, but like if I were to get married, hey, even better, you know. But like I'm not gonna just hold off and wait until I get married to do certain things, you know, and because I was like, what a waste of time, of, you know, because you don't know because we don't know how long singleness is gonna last, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, honestly, when I came back from Romania in 2014, I was like, no, I want to settle down and get married. You know how long it's been since then? It's been so
7
long.
years.
It's been quite a while, and I was like, oh my gosh, like how would had like my life been differently if I had not like stopped my life so that I can focus on that, you know, but if I had just pursued like, you know, things that God had placed in my life, you know, and so I God still works through my mistakes and stuff like that too, you know, but definitely I do see like, yeah, like my identity has changed completely since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be God's timing then,
Yeah, yeah.
like you weren't ready at that time.
Mhm, mhm,
So
mhm.
when it does happen,
Mhm,
you'll
mhm.
just be able to see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was the right timing, not
Mhm.
back then.
Yeah,
When
yeah, yeah.
you would probably have put your identity in what this guy thought about
Mhm,
you
mhm.
rather than,
Different than God.
yeah, what
What
God
he
thought
has to
about
say.
you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Even like as Asian Americans too, right?
Mm.
Like there's like another level of pressure, right? I guess, especially as you age. There's more people like asking questions, and your parents like even giving you more like,
That social norm.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it starts from when we're kids, like, or when you're in high school. It's like,
Mhm.
what college did you get into?
Mhm.
Did you graduate yet?
Mhm.
Are you dating anyone?
Yeah.
Then it's like, are you married?
Mhm,
When are you
mhm.
gonna have kids?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and then what school are they going?
Mhm,
Or
mhm.
it just doesn't stop.
Yeah, it doesn't. And it's funny because like in college, they're like, oh, figure out yourself. Don't date, try to figure out what you want to do in life and who you are. And as soon as you graduate, it's like, how come you're not married yet? Like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and then it just gets like, and then you feel like you're behind in life, like what's wrong with me? How come I'm not there yet? And there's like this unspoken but kind of spoken rule that like at this age you're supposed to be here, at this age you're supposed to be here, and then fighting against that, it's really hard,
Mhm.
because like everyone does see like they think something's wrong with you, like,
Get that
oh
stigma.
yeah, like, oh, there must be something wrong with this person and that's why they're not married, that's why they're not dating, there must be something wrong. And that's totally not true, like God has his timing. Yes, I always say there's always something we can fix to become more and more like Christ, because we're not like Christ at all, we're always changing, but like that doesn't necessarily mean something is wrong and that's why they're not in a relationship. And I think that was like another thing I had to fight off, to like a lie that the enemy had like placed in me, to where like, oh, there's something wrong in you, you have to keep fixing yourself, and that until, yeah, and then someone will see your worth, but that's not necessarily true either. I had this epiphany one day where I was like reading in scripture, how like Jesus, and I forgot in the gospel it said like Jesus, like God, like Jesus knew the heart of man, right? And so I was like, well, God, you know my heart and what I desire, and then you also know the heart of everyone around me too, right? And so then I was like, God, he's bad for me, know his heart, and he doesn't care, and so that, God, you're so good, like you're not going to give me to someone who's not like
For you.
yeah, for me, or good, we're not compatible, or I mean, yes, like I can do things out of my own will and make things happen that's not of him, but like if I really look at it, like God wants to give me the best, right? And if the people around me right now is not the best, then it's not going to happen. And that I need to realize is another factor in this whole thing, not just, well, I'm not worthy or I'm not interesting, it's like, well, God, the timing has to be there too, so
Yeah. Well, I can, you know what? I can be an example of that, because I tried to make it work. I tried to make it work on my own. It's when I first started coming to the church that we all go to. I tried to, go find people, try to make it like, oh, this person, that person, whatever. And I was failing all the time. But once I really got serious about it and I actually really started praying about it, I did actually end up getting a promise, which I showed my wife and showed her the proof that I got the promise, that, oh, you will be finding your future wife soon, and it happened. And so I just learned all about that timing through that, because yeah, oh, I have some like really bad stories of like going out on dates and stuff, like either blind dating or just people like who set me up with somebody. Well, that's also a blind date, right? But it was really bad. I got really bad horror stories. But once you actually go to God, and he actually, you might have to wait a little longer. It depends on the person, but and I started working on myself more. That's when it actually happened. So yeah, I'm really thankful for that. So I can confirm, what you're saying is true.
Thank you so much for coming out today and for spilling the tea.